Let's go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret 64 is, of course, the podcast about video game news, occurrences, first impressions, reviews, etc. Just words of the wise if you're new and watching this on YouTube, which I just recently started uploading them to YouTube in their entirety. A lot of times I'll talk about a game, like for one episode, my first impressions, and then the next episode I'll talk about some more. It happened with Jedi Survivor. So if you're missing any context, if you go over to the Spotify version or the Apple Podcast version, you can listen to sections on those older episodes. And of course, every single episode is time-stamped in the description. I don't know how to do chapters in YouTube yet, but I'm going to look that up and get that going for future episodes. And probably this one. I'll probably try and look it up on this one. All right. Now that's all out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started with the podcast here. And we're going to start with the first section, which is what I've been playing this past week. Alright, so the first game on my list today is Humanity. This is a game I've been playing pretty much every single day since it came out. I think it came out like on Friday last week or Thursday last week. No, it would have came out this week because I haven't talked about it yet. Duh. But essentially this is like a puzzle, platformer, lemmings game. People have been calling it a lemmings game because you lead hordes of people to the light. So each level consists of like a grid pattern, and as the dog, the Shiba Inu, which is heavily marketed by the way, but you can't really tell it's a Shiba Inu unless someone actually told you because it just kind of looks like a dog with a bushy tail. But that's not a negative. I love playing as a dog. But yeah, there's like a grid pattern, and you have different commands that you can use. You know, you have a simple like turn command, you know, telling them which way to go. And then you also have like jump commands. There's a high jump, a regular jump, and a long jump. All have different, uses. There's also like a float command that gives people like a less gravity, so they can go farther when they jump and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch more that they eventually add on. You know, they keep adding new things pretty gradually throughout the levels that you go through. You know, you get weapons at one point. You can equip weapons to the people, which I would say are some of the harder levels in the game because you kind of got to figure out, you know, the positioning and everything like that. But it's very satisfying. You know, when you have a fully done puzzle and all the people are just kind of like, you know, they're walking towards the light and they're ascending while, you know, there's like people like jumping through the air and zigzagging all over the course. It is very satisfying, and that's the main goal of the game, is to get the people to these like squares that are white, and then they lift up into the air. Most of the time, that's the final thing that you need to do. There's also these like gold dudes who you need to get to the extraction point as well, get to the chopper. And essentially they offer a little bit of an extra challenge because you need to guide your people into the goldies, they're called, and then to the finish line. And once the people get to the light and they start ascending, it'll actually, you know, once the little meter fills up, it's kind of like a box growing into the outline. That'll actually end the level. So if you don't guide the people to the Goldie and get the Goldie to the end in time, then you'll have to redo the level to try and get the Goldie because you can't place any more items after the stage has been completed. But I will say, if the Goldies are walking towards the light and the level ends, you can still finish the level with all the Goldies because they're already on the path. They're already pathed there. So it's a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of like a forethought kind of game where you need to think ahead a few steps. You know, it's also a bit of a hindsight game too, because, you know, when something goes wrong, you go, oh, I should have put a turn here, or oh, I forgot to place, a jump here, So there is a bit of like a hindsight 2020 feeling as well, but there's also a foresight feeling as well. You need to make sure you're thinking a few steps ahead and route your people through obstacles and around different environmental hazards and stuff like that. And eventually, like I said, you do need to equip like weapons to your characters, and they give you those commands. Like there's a melee option and a gun option. Both have their own uses, and that adds an extra layer of strategy to the game as well, equipping the people with the right weapons for the right job. And I found those missions, like I said, to be some of the more difficult, just because you need to, you kind of got to learn what works and what doesn't, and each level does feel unique. There's not a level that I feel like is one to one completely the same as another one. Even though they have they have a few that are like redux levels, quote unquote, where you redo them with different abilities, or whatever you want to call them. So those do retread a little bit of ground, but you're using a different ability, so it's like, okay, well, it is a bit different. Kind of makes you think outside the box a little bit, move things around in a different way. And some of the levels have multiple ways to solve them. Not everyone's going to do the same routing. Not everyone's going to do the same, have the same decisions, and which is pretty cool. I like to see that in games. A lot, some of the levels do have like one solution, but a lot of times you can route people multiple ways and you can get the stuff done. And yeah, I mean, I'm really having a good time with it. I also really enjoy the soundtrack. I feel like the soundtrack's really good. I like the graphical style, kind of being like this polygon type looking, kind of like doughy looking game. I think it suits the aesthetics really well, or the aesthetics, or the visuals. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's early. I'm recording this too early today. Also, I there's like these little like boss stages as well, which I found really entertaining. Like there's one that's actually like a boss fight, which I found like that was really cool. Like that was kind of a surprise, because leading up to that fight, there was like, oh yeah, it's a puzzle to get to the end of this quote unquote boss, right? But then there was actually just a boss fight, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I really liked that. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this game. It's very interesting. I like the gradual increase in difficulty and the gradual increase in new abilities and stuff that you unlock. The first, you start off with just turning, then they give you jumping, then they give you long jumping, and they give you the float commands. And then eventually down the line, they give you the branching paths where you can make people go two different ways at the same time, Eventually you get like a follower command, so they follow the dog instead of following their own path, It keeps building on top of itself, and they don't stick to one theme for too long, They give you the guns, but it's not just the next level is not just a gun level. It's something like different, and it's cool. It's cool how they do that. It really is. It's a very interesting game. The story in the game, I know that probably people are asking about that. It's a bit bizarre, but as you go through the game, it gets more clear as to what you're doing. You might be able to figure it out early on, but I think the story's good. It's just a bit confusing early on, but it becomes less confusing as you go on, because they start to subtly explain things as you continue onward. Yeah, so yeah, you get like more stuff as you go on. The one thing that I will say is not every each level has its own specific abilities for you to use. Most of them are going to have turn or something of the like, so you're never going to be without your turning ability. But how they mix it up in other ways is they give you, let's say they give you the jump ability in the last level. Well, in this level, you're not guaranteed to have the jump ability. It's a certain set of abilities, so you don't always have the same abilities for each level. So you don't always have the float, you don't always have jumping, you don't always have branching paths, you don't always have etc. etc. There's different sets of moves for each level, which going into the game, I thought that they were going to start like compounding on top of each other. And maybe there's like a new game plus where you can use any ability, which might break a few levels. I don't think there is that though. Um, but yeah, I like that idea. I mean, I know a lot of people would prefer to have all their abilities throughout the game, but having these specifically curated levels, it's nice. It's nice, and I mean, I haven't even mentioned yet that there are user created levels, and you can make your own levels if you want to. And I've played a couple of them, and some of them are really interesting. There was this one that I played that was like a big tower, and you were pushing blocks down the tower and trying to make a staircase down without your people falling and dying, because they can only fall, I think, 2 blocks without dying. If you go higher than 2 blocks, they die. Or maybe it's 1 block. They can only fall 1 block. Which of course adds different things to the puzzle elements. But yeah, I've been finding the user created levels to actually be pretty good, and that's where a lot of these games start to shine even more. Is where the users go in and they kind of have their own ideas and make their own levels. I haven't made one myself because I just haven't had time. I've been playing the single player for the single player stuff. But I found playing these other people's levels to be kind of like fun. Fun. It was very interesting, fun. They have different categories and rankings for the different levels. So if one's difficult, they have it in a difficult section. If there's an easy one, they put it in the easy section. They do a good job of curating them. And I don't know if like there's a actual developer behind that, like choosing where to put things, or if people can just kind of like just by death counts and stuff like that, the level will be put somewhere. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but it seems to be working pretty good because there are some categories for you to choose from, and I did check out the level designer, and I felt like it was pretty intuitive. It felt pretty good, way better than the Fall Guys level editor. But with a grid-based system, it's much easier to make levels. It's much easier to put cubes on a flat surface or whatever. Than doing what the Fall Guys stuff does. So it's hard to really compare the two because they're two completely different beasts. But I will say that the humanity stuff is pretty good. It feels pretty good. I didn't save a level. I didn't really even do much of anything, so I didn't really get too in depth into it. But from what I played, it felt fine. But I enjoy playing the levels more than building in most games. Which is why I hate Minecraft. No, just kidding. Parody. But yeah, Humanity, it's really good. I would definitely recommend it. It is available with the PlayStation Plus Extra service, so if you have that, you can check it out without extra cost. But I ended up buying it. It's like $20, and it's really fun. It's a really good time. I'm really enjoying myself, and I can easily see this getting a pretty high score for me once I'm all done with it. I'm pretty close to the end. I think I'm on like one of the last chapters. I think I'm almost at the end of like chapter 7, and I think there's 8 chapters in total or something like that. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good. And I've been getting through levels pretty quickly for the most part. I've gotten stuck on a few of them. Like I said, I think I said that. I have gotten stuck on a few of them. I think the one I got stuck on for like 30-ish minutes. But the nice thing is, and I haven't used this yet, but the nice thing is that if you need help, there is like a video that you can watch actually built into the game. There's a solution video for you to watch. And I know what you're saying, like, oh, why would they put that in there? I think a hint would be, it's kind of hard to, like, how would you implement hints in a game like this? It is kind of difficult to do that, but there is a solution video you can watch, or you can just go on YouTube, really. I think there's a person with, like, the entire game mapped out at this point, and it's only been out for a couple days, But, if you are struggling, you can always get a little hint from a YouTube video, work up to the part that you're at and continue from there, But there's a lot like, sometimes you find a solution by accident. Other times you're thinking about it for a while and you finally have a eureka moment. You have a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, and that's it's a very satisfying moment. It's a very satisfying thing to happen, And like, when you're done with that level and the people are just flowing, it's very satisfying. It's a nice feeling. You feel like you've accomplished something, and yeah, you've essentially accomplished the level. So there you go, perfect. Um, yeah, other than that, I really don't have anything else to say. It does utilize the PS5 DualSense controller pretty well. It doesn't really do much during gameplay, like, there's no adaptive triggers or anything like that, but the HD rumble and stuff like that, it does actually. I love the way that it feels like when text is rolling on the screen. It makes like a typing noise or a typing feel, and I like that. I like those little things. So it actually does use the DualSense controller a little bit. Like I said, I haven't played it in the VR mode, but there is a VR mode to the game, so I haven't played the VR mode yet. Maybe I'll test it out this coming week. I haven't put on the VR headset for a while, not since I was sick, and that was that was almost a month ago at this point. Which I feel bad because I've spent a lot of money on that and I really enjoyed it, but I got sick for a while and I just was like, I don't know. I got to get back to it though because I still have to finish Call of the Mountain, and I want to play some more of that drumming game I talked about back a month ago or so. But yeah, I am giving Humanity a recommendation. It's a pretty fun puzzle game. It's a little bit different from what I've played in the past. I'm sure there's a similar game out there somewhere that someone's going to mention, but it is a very fun game. I really enjoy it so far, and I can't wait to get it finished. And I think I am going for the platinum on this one. I'm pretty close, and the trophies don't seem too bad that I need to clean up. Right now, I think I only have to. There's like a challenge that I have to complete, and I have to just finish the game. So yeah, probably by next week I'll have the platinum trophy for Humanity, which I'm like, I keep saying I'm not a trophy hunter, but there is a bit of a satisfying thing from getting trophies in a game and a platinum trophy in a game. I feel like the way that I'm doing it though, like I'm only platinuming games that I feel like I can do one, and I'm enjoying two. If I wasn't enjoying Humanity, I wouldn't go for the platinum trophy. If I didn't enjoy Jedi Survivor, I wouldn't have scoured the map for those shards that I needed to find, and finish up the platinum, right? So even though I am kind of back into it a little bit, I'm not going to let it be obsessive like it was before, which caused me to fall out of love with gaming for a little while. There was a time where I was too hell bent on trophy hunting, and every game was like a strategic thing, and it was ruining the experiences for me. And yeah, I'm glad the way that I'm doing it now is much more healthier for me personally. And I'm not gonna go for those 0.01% trophies anymore. I got my Guitar Hero Live Platinum, and that was an ordeal. But I've got a few in there that I'm very proud of. But at this point, just take it easy, play games, and if I want to, I'll go for the 100%. And if it's too much work, I'll just enjoy the game and leave it be. Injustice 2 also kind of broke me back in the day. That was one of those platinum trophies that I was really getting frustrated with. Anyway, Lego 2K Drive. Vroom vroom, baby, build your own cars and drive in a semi-open world. So this is a kids game. I went into it knowing it was a kids game, so don't worry about that. But it is very much a kids game. It's incredibly easy. It's an incredibly easy racing game, while also kind of being a little bit difficult in there too, because the rival that you're racing against in most races actually puts up a bit of a fight, like I wasn't just in first place for my entire race, but I will say no matter how many times I messed up or got hit by items or whatever, I still ended up in first place in all the races I've done so far. so yeah, I don't know if that says anything, but there you go. So yeah, Lego 2K Drive, it's a bit overpriced in my opinion, and it has a bunch of microtransactions littered in there, which is very disappointing to see in a Lego game. Um, you can essentially buy the in-game currency, which is not my favorite thing ever. And you do earn plenty of in-game currency by just doing the open world stuff. But if you want to fast track, you can spend some dosh, some moolah to buy your way to the top. It is a co-op game, so if you want, you can have up to, I think, like, you can have 4 people playing at the same time on a map and racing together and completing challenges together, I think. If not, it'd be like a 2-player co-op game. But I think where this game really shines, it's not really in the racing per se, which I know is kind of like sacrilegious to say. All right. My computer kind of wigged out there for a second, so I had to stop the recording and check that out. Everything seems fine now, so hopefully it was just maybe it was like malware bytes doing an update or something. I don't know. Well, here's the problem. What were they saying? Something about Lego 2K Drive. Oh, balls. Well, I'm sure the point that I was going to make. It was about where the game excels. So the game doesn't exactly excel in the racing department. I feel like in terms of like Mario Kart to, dollar bin trash, of shovelware racers, it does fit snugly in between, like, that Disney Speed Racers is above that for sure. But it's not as good as something like Mario Kart or, insert a really good kart racer or a generally good kart racer here. But where the game does excel is like in the side content, strangely enough. Kind of like Forza Horizon kind of like Forza Horizon. There's like these little gates that you go through, and they just give you a race, or they give you an objective, a little side mission to do. So one of them was actually like rounding up these like pigs for a farmer. You would drive into them and bring them back to the farmer's pen. Another one was like getting an egg to a skillet, which was bizarrely difficult for some reason, but ended up doing that one. It was interesting. It's an interesting like open world to explore too, because it's not like an open world where you can actually drive to each location, like from environment to environment, like Forza or something like that. Instead, you like load into new areas. So there's like an area for each like environment. So you have like the starting area is like this green lush area. It's got it's got a little river and all this stuff, and it's the easy area, right? There's not much to do. The next area you go to is called the I just know it's butt something. It's Butte, but it's spelled butt. You know. So like it's this canyon environment. So you have lots of canyons. It's a desert area. So there's lots of desert and dirt roads, and there's a little river that goes through the canyon. So it's not like I can just go from that training area to the canyon area. You actually have to fast travel to the canyon area, and I find that a bit bizarre. Because I feel like Lego has made some really expansive open world games. Like they mapped out the entirety of Gotham City at one point, and Metropolis. They mapped out entire planets in Batman 3, Lego Batman 3. Think of the Marvel Avengers games and the other Marvel games. Like they also have like these expansive worlds filled with all these different references and characters and stuff like that. Even going back to Lego Pirates, like I know that there's like that hub area, but I guess the hub area. Well, never mind. Lego Pirates. Scratch that. To cut that out. No, I'm not gonna cut it. But yeah, not really Lego Pirates. But there's a lot of games that you could point to that's like, oh, it's a nice big open world. Maybe a little bit too much sometimes, right? But it's a nice big open world, and you can just kind of walk from one area to the other. Maybe there's a loading screen here or there. But in Lego 2K Drive, like, yeah, you get the entire area mapped out, and you can do whatever you want in that area. But if you want to go to the next area, you got to fast travel there, which is kind of weird, in my opinion. So the main objective of the game is to win these races against rivals. You get new vehicles, and you get a checkered flag for doing that. And you need like 50 or so flags to race in the Ultimate Sky Cup, which is essentially the finale of the game, the last like Grand Prix that you do in the game. And yeah, you gotta level up, get new vehicles, get new rides, do side objectives to get XP and money and stuff like that to customize your vehicle. And I will say it's quite impressive that right from the beginning, after you finish like the tutorial where it tells you how to drive and drift and stuff like that, you can actually make your own vehicle. You can actually design your own car if you want to right from the get-go, which is pretty cool. I will say that is a very nice thing that they put directly at the beginning of the game. You don't need to fluff around and wait for it. It's right there if you want it. You can customize and build your own vehicles. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And it's pretty well done. I was getting a little bit confused about how to place some things, but yeah, what the main thing is, oop, I hit my mic. For right away, you do get that unlocked, which is nice, And like I said, the side content really is where this game's shining right now. Like I've found myself retrying challenges over and over again to get that gold medal, for whatever reason. And yeah, trying to perfect it. Obviously you need better vehicles to get golds on some things. Like there's this one that's like literally like a 2-second mission where you drive straight into a wall and they time you. And it's like a Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote kind of gag where it's like painted on there's a tunnel painted on the wall and they want you to drive as fast as you can into it and blow up. And to get the gold, you need like 3 seconds. And in the cars that you get at the beginning of the game, it takes like 3.5 seconds, which is like a silver. So, there's no way to get that until getting the faster vehicle. So there's going to be a little bit of backtracking in the game, obviously going back to these areas and trying to get things done with different vehicles. So far, like, yeah, there's a lot of really crazy and kooky vehicle designs in the game. You have your more standard vehicles, but then there's like things like a plane that's been broken apart and has these big monster truck wheels on them, and there's actually this car that you get with the pre-order of the game, which is like a Lego set that you can build, and you can actually get the car in the game. You gotta put the code in, and yeah, it was pretty neat. Driving around the car that I built in the game, like actually built, kind of reminded me of Lego Dimensions in a way, except you don't actually scan the car in. Who remembers Lego Dimensions? I do, because I am a seasoned gamer. Let's see. Honestly, there's not much to say about the game. Like, I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. Like, I'm enjoying my time with it. Yes, it's a very basic kart racer, and it's made for babies. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for an open world racing adventure that kind of reminds you of the back in the day, there was that Cars video game that was like an open world racing game, which was pretty fun. There's other ones like Need for Speed that do the open world thing. If you're looking for that kind of game, this is that kind of game. But if you're looking for a more adult experience, something that's going to really challenge you, this is definitely not going to be. This is definitely, the base of the game is definitely made for kids. Maybe going for the gold medals in each course or each challenge is going to be, a bit of a struggle, but for the most part, like if you're looking for something to really test your mettle, and be the next big thing in kart racing, this isn't going to be it. And they have a long roadmap ahead for this game. As I talked about before, there's like 3 or 4 waves that are coming, and they're already selling the first wave right now, which I think is like $8, which isn't too bad, all things considered. And they're doing the Halo Infinite thing where you can earn towards any season pass that you want throughout the course of its life, so it's not tethered to a specific thing. As of right now, I mean, I paid $70 for this game. I wish I didn't at this point. I wish it was like this. It's definitely more of like a $40 type game, but because they got the Lego name in there, they got a bunch of name brand vehicles. They got a bunch of whatever. It's a next gen game. It's on next consoles. They add that extra tax in there, and now you got a $70 game, and it doesn't feel like a $70 game. Just looking at all, like there's like 10 or maybe not even. Yeah, I think there's like 10 areas you can go to, not counting the training area. And they're not that big, all things considered. Like you can get from one end to the other really quickly. I'm not disappointed, but I am a bit like, why did it have to be so expensive? Like why was this not like a $50 base game brand new with the perk of like, oh, you can buy season 1 for $8. Like there's where your extra money comes in, and your microtransactions, obviously. So yeah, I think it's a little overpriced right now. Definitely wait for a sale, especially if you're not like super into Lego or you're not like super into like kids games. But let's say you want to try it out because you are a fan of Lego or you are a fan of racing games. It's definitely worth trying out and tinkering around with. Hopefully by the time that it goes on sale, they've maybe added a couple new things in there. I'll find out if the season pass is worth it. I'm not gonna buy it, of course, but I'll be able to see what's in it. But yeah, I guess I can't recommend it right now. I've also not played like a lot of it. I've played like an hour or two, and so far it's just like it's fine. I think the side mission stuff, the open world stuff, is actually more enticing than the racing itself. I've actually been avoiding doing the racing stuff for the most part because it just doesn't feel good as a racer. Like as an open world car game, yeah, it feels pretty good. You can do tight turns and drifting and all that stuff, but as a racing game, where you can like obviously the main gimmick is like you can transform to the different environments. So, if you're on a paved road, you're a car. If you're on the gravel or dirt or off-roading, you get an off-road vehicle. And of course, when you go into the water, you get a boat, it turns into a boat right away. And I was hoping that it was a bit more stylish when you transformed, or the environment, like they actually affected the gameplay more than they do. But as of right now, like the racing is like the lowest point on this game, and the other stuff is more fun because it's just that Lego kind of charm to it. But I digress. If you're a kid, there you go. This game will probably suit a child audience more than me. But like I said, it's still pretty fun. It still has its charm as a Lego game. And the guy who voices the main character in the Walking Dead video game Telltale series, what was his name? I don't know why Emmett's coming to mind, but that's Chris Pratt's character in the Lego movie. Lee. That's Lee. Lee's his name. Yeah, so the guy who plays Lee actually voices the first character you meet in the game, which is pretty cool. So there you go. All right. And then finally, for new stuff that I've played this week, Golf with Your Friends put out a new DLC course called The Corrupted Forest. It's only like $2, and I was like, might as well, even though like Golf with Your Friends hasn't been like my favorite game. Just thinking back to like the PS4 release, I was very disappointed in that. But this Corrupted Forest map is like, it's a pretty difficult course. Like I wouldn't say that it's impossible per se, but a lot of the negative feedback for the course is just because it's so difficult. And compared to the other stuff that they have put out, like yeah, it's actually a lot more difficult than what they've put out. But if you play custom courses like me and Greedy Waffles, I mean, it's nothing that you really haven't seen before, And I think the aesthetic is really the coolest part of the course. But the other thing is like it's only 9 holes. It's not a full 18-hole course. It's only 9 holes. The last hole has like this big black hole. Man, I'm saying hole a lot in this episode. It's like this big like vortex or whatever, which is a pretty cool aesthetic. And I like how the map looks. It's got like this, this like split world kind of thing going on where like the golf course has been broken up into pieces, and there's like this black goo everywhere, and like the trees are all dead and stuff like that. It looks cool, and it's a corrupted forest for sure. Is it worth getting? I mean, yeah, I think it's only like $2. Like if you're gonna really complain that much about a difficult course, it's only like $2. You can't even buy a freaking king size candy bar for $2 anymore. Okay, like I feel like it's worth the $2 to shell it out just for a quick little course that's more difficult than whatever else they put out. And I think the aesthetics are what really sold it for me personally. Am I going to go back and play this course every time I play the game? No. It's definitely not worth like a bunch of replays, but I think it was still worth it for at least one or two times to play it and have a little bit of fun, trying to get around it, because like I said, it is probably the most difficult course they've made. There's a lot of it's weird too. Like the layout is really super weird. So if you want to, and if you already have Golf with Your Friends, Corrupted Forest, I actually say like, yeah, I actually would give it a little bit a bit of a thumbs up here, because It's different. It's not super easy like most of the courses that they make. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where all the hate is coming from. If they want, play some custom maps, then you'll really get hard courses. All right, on stream, we finally finished Tony Hawk's American Wasteland on the PS2. Back in the day when I originally played this game, I played it on the GameCube, and I remember reading in Game Informer that the game was going to be seamless, no loading screens or hardly any loading screens. You'd be able to go from one area to the next without loading. And of course, the GameCube version was not as optimized as the PS2 version, so there were loading screens between each area, which I was like really disappointed when I was a kid because I was like, it said in the magazine that it was going to be a seamless world. Now, fast forward, I don't know, 20 or so, 30, 20 so years later, not 30, about 20. And playing on the PS2 version, I get it. I get the hype. Yeah, the open world is pretty cool. You can pretty much seamlessly go from one area to the next without loading. You can go from Santa Monica all the way to, Hollywood, and not have to wait through a loading screen or anything like that. The only caveat is that the save times and the load times in the game when you do actually have to load are pretty lengthy, especially on the boot up. Especially on the saving. The saving, for some reason, takes forever. And I don't know if that's because they need to save every area individually and then group it all together in a combined file. I don't know. But it was at least like a 3-minute save time every time you saved, which was quite ridiculous, especially when you're streaming the game, But what am I going to do? I mean, it's a PS2 era game. I give it a bit of a pass for that. Where I don't give this game a pass is the missions later on become extensively more difficult, and they don't allow you to use the same techniques to restart or retry a mission as you could at the beginning. So at the beginning of the game, let's say you mess up midway through a mission. You can do the retry mission thing, and it'll just start you at a checkpoint, right? Which could be after a cutscene, or it could be after you do a part of the mission. Whatever it is, it lets you restart right away, and it boots you back to where you were. Later in the game, you're getting all these skaters to do a video for you to save the park, right? And for whatever reason, they decided to make some of the missions a bit longer, have cutscenes that are unskippable, and then also have you instantly failed out of the mission if you mess up once. And I was starting to get a bit frustrated with that, especially on this one mission where you had to hold like a handstand for, it felt like forever, right? A lip trick forever. And for some reason, I just could not get it done. I feel like we were the better half of an hour, or maybe even more. I bet an hour. We were stuck on this one mission, watching the same unskippable cutscenes, doing the same tricks, trying to get it done. Now, what I should have done is cooler heads, of course, prevail. But I should have went back and done some challenges to level up my lip tricks, because that's all I did the next time I came around to it, and I did it in one go, right? Just did a bit of leveling up, and I was good to go. Hindsight's 2020, folks. This is a real hindsight 2020 experience for me. I should have just stopped after a couple of tries. But that's the thing, though. Like, after a couple of tries on other missions, I got it, This one, it was taking way, way longer. When I hit that 30-minute mark, I probably should have just tried to level up my skill points and come back, because my lip tricks were at 5 out of 10, and everything else was at like 7 or 8 at that point. So I definitely had a bit of a lull in my skills area there. But the thing is, like, there's this mission where you do a lip trick around an entire Ferris wheel, and I felt like that was way longer. And I did that one without leveling anything up in my lip tricks. So it's like, why is this one at the end of the game giving me so much grief? I don't understand. But I digress. I think the game is still pretty enjoyable, all things considered. I know that I had some rough moments during my playthrough, but I think that in general, it's fun. I feel like It's a bit dated, of course, especially with like the recent remasters of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 that came out. I feel like those feel great, and this kind of just feels okay, you know. The story doesn't really matter in Tony Hawk games, but I will say that there were some questionable moments throughout it, some questionable character growth and development, and also Bam Margera was in the game, which, yeah, I don't like to touch that with a 10-foot pole, you know what I'm saying? um, and on top of that, like, they added in, like, the BMX bike, you know, and that just sucks. It really does. Like, I cannot tell you, like, how limited my time was on this bike because it just felt so terrible. It did not work too well. They changed up the entire control scheme for no reason whatsoever. I don't get the idea. I don't get it. Like, there's so much more crap you have to deal with when you're on the bike. It doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, I get it, you know, you land a trick and you're backwards, you can pedal backwards for a little bit, and then you need to jump and turn around. Like, I get that, that's fine. But why in the hell do you not set up the bike like you set up the skateboard by having square be a set of moves, O be a set of moves, triangle be a set? Like, no, they don't do that. Everything's tied to different buttons. Square only does a couple moves. Also, flicking the right stick does different moves, that doesn't happen on the skateboard. You can do manuals and stuff like that, but there's also a different move that's called a tire tap where you need to press and hold R1. It's like, why are we changing up the moveset this much for a bike? Biking sucks in this game. It really does. And there's only a couple of missions that actually require you to use a bike, but they are annoying. And the open world it's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty cool open world, you know. Obviously, there's lots of different like things you got to trick on, and you know you can get high scores, and you know you meet random people who give you money for doing tricks and putting graffiti on walls, you know. And the new stuff they put into the game, like the Nada spin and the wall plants and stuff like that, they do change up the gameplay a little bit. You know, I don't mind at all. But I will say that it's not like the most intuitive open world that I've ever been in, you know. But I think that the main thing is like, yeah, you can go from one point of the map to the other point of the map, and that I mean, this was in the PS2 days. That's pretty impressive. For the time, that is pretty impressive. Would I want to play this game again, like I did back in the day? When I was a kid, I played this game like 5 times in a row, with each of the different skaters that you can start off with. And only like the weird thing is only one of those characters is female, and I don't remember if they actually changed the story later on, because you end up hooking up with Mindy at the end of the game, right? So you know, maybe this game is LGBTQ friendly. I don't know. I don't know if they changed any of that up. I don't know. But anyway, oh yeah, the game is also like, yeah, maybe it's LGBTQ friendly, but it's kind of racist at times. Like there's this generic Chinese martial arts master kind of guy who talks to you for what seems like forever in like this overly racist like caricature voice. And those missions really just dragged on, and if you had to redo them, it was just so annoying to hear this guy talk. Especially if it was like a cutscene, like showing you what to do. But yeah, it was very much like poorly done impression of a Chinese person trying to speak English, which rubs me the wrong way. You know, I don't think it was funny back in the day, and it's definitely not funny now. So it's like, why? You know, why would you do this? You know, in a Tony Hawk game, you know. Although this game is pretty bizarre at times, you know. The other thing that I like about the game is you're doing like these missions to get new items for the skate park. So, you know, it starts off pretty bare bones, but as you go through and find the different areas and do different levels, and do different missions, you get more stuff. You know, like you get the dinosaur head, you get the 777 jackpot machine, you get the you get like a fountain, you get all this stuff, and it's pretty cool. And I like that aspect of it too. I think that how they build the park up is pretty cool, you know. But yeah, there you go. The game feels fine for a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. The BMX stuff sucks. Soundtrack's pretty good. I like the open world. It's good enough. some frustrating moments in there, some unskippable cutscenes that are kind of annoying, a little bit of racism, a little sprinkle of racism in there. C tier, easy C tier. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the show, which is what's in the news. So I know what you might be saying. Technically, Mortal Kombat 1 announcement should be in the coming soon section, not the news section. Yes, but no. It's my show. Fuck off. Mortal Kombat 1 has been announced for the PS5, PS4, Xbox, even the Nintendo Switch, and PC, of course. And it's going to be coming out September 19th. The announcement trailer premiered last week, and just as I predicted, it's kind of like a it's a soft reboot of the timeline, because in the events of Mortal Kombat 11, Liu Kang combines with Raiden, and he becomes like the god of fire or whatever. And in this game, in the announcement trailer, they showed it. They showed Liu Kang with his blue and red fire, and they showed all like the characters that you know and love from the Mortal Kombat universe, kind of reset a little bit. They're kind of reset in a way. And, it kind of progressively gets more and more intense as the trailer goes on. It starts off with everyone kind of living in harmony, it looks like. But, eventually, Quan Chi shows up, and then people's necks start snapping and faces get squished, and it's absolutely brutal, okay? Like, if you remember Mortal Kombat 11 and how brutal some of those fatalities were, the stuff they showed off in this trailer, which I can only assume is going to be hopefully in the game, looks incredible. And Liu Kang actually does like this finisher where the two dragon heads tear, I think it's Quan Chi's arms off, and then he comes down the middle and splits him down the middle and crushes his head. Like, that part of the trailer just was like, I mean, that was like a jaw wide open, like, holy shit kind of moment. Like, that was so awesome. Now, you know me. I'm big on naming conventions. I gave Modern Warfare 2 a lot of shit for being called Modern Warfare 2. And I'm also going to give Mortal Kombat 1 a bit of shit for being called Mortal Kombat 1, seeing as we already have two other games just called Mortal Kombat, which people refer to as Mortal Kombat 1, which is the original arcade game, and Mortal Kombat 2009, which is the reboot of the franchise after Dark Alliance, I think it was called. I love Mortal Kombat 2009. I think that's my favorite Mortal Kombat from the reboot, right? Even though I loved Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat X sucked, in my opinion. But I love Mortal Kombat 11. I thought Mortal Kombat 2009 was just so good. Like, the story, the fighting, all the characters on that roster, amazing. Hopefully we get something of a similar nature here with Mortal Kombat 1. Hopefully the roster is pretty well thought out. Hopefully there's some new characters and some returning characters mixed in there. I'm very excited. As much as I'm not like a huge fighting game guy in general. Like, I've been excited to see Street Fighter 6 in action. I've been excited for Tekken 8. But Mortal Kombat really is my jam. Like, I've loved Mortal Kombat since that 2009 game. I hadn't played any of the other games before 2009 except for Mortal Kombat versus DC. So that's kind of where I started. But, once Mortal Kombat 2009 came out, I was like, yes, this is my jam. And I loved the moveset and how bloody it was. And, the Melina Rags outfit was one of my favorites back in the day. But yeah, here we are, with Mortal Kombat 1. Liu Kang is going to be rebooting the Mortal Kombat universe, kind of, sort of. So we'll see what happens. And, the Mortal Kombat universe is pretty convoluted. Let's be honest. Let's be clear about that. There's really no, definitive set timeline for the games. Like, even going from Mortal Kombat 2009 to Mortal Kombat 10 or X, the story, it does kind of get rearranged even between games, right? So maybe maybe this is a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I'm not sure. The end of Mortal Kombat 11 though leaves a lot open. So like, we'll see what happens. Like what obviously they chose the ending where Liu Kang he doesn't kill Quan Chi. So or maybe I guess we'll have to see, because I think if you choose to side with Quan Chi, he kills Liu Kang. So I guess they are choosing the Liu Kang victory ending, right? But maybe this is a different Quan Chi. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll really have to wait and see. So I'm very excited for that. I really love the teaser trailer. Mortal Kombat's my favorite fighting game franchise. There's going to be a beta in August, which you can sign up by pre-ordering the game. The game is going to come out the 19th of September, 2023. There's going to be an immersive story campaign, online fighting, reimagined versions of classic characters, rollback netcode, and if you pre-order the game, you'll also get, I believe you get Quan Chi for free instead of having to pay for him. But that's the one thing that Mortal Kombat has been doing wrong in the past couple of years, is the pre-orders, you get a character, right? Or you had to buy him for $5, right? And there's always a character that has to be unlocked by playing the campaign that you can also get early access to by buying them. And then there's also a bunch of like microtransactions bundled in. So we'll see how this one does. There is a deluxe edition for about $199. I'm sorry, $109, which will bundle the first Kombat pack, 5 days early access to the game, and 1,250 Dragon Crystals, which are premium currency for the game. The Kombat pack is going to include a Johnny Cage character skin with the likeliness of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and 6 new playable characters and 5 cameo characters after release. So yeah, confirmed characters for this game so far: Liu Kang, of course, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden, Kung Lao. Oh, I guess Raiden is going to be in the game. I thought he was going to skip out on this game. Okay. Well, I mean, he's a classic, so whatever. So anyways, you got Kung Lao, Katana, Mileena, Shang Tsung, and Johnny Cage. And Quan Chi, of course, because he's coming in with the DLC. But yeah, very interesting, very excited for that. I know I don't normally like to talk about, leaks or rumors, but this one just it's too good to pass up. So Amazon Italy accidentally leaked the entire first Kombat Pack's playable character list and cameos. Essentially what cameos are they are skins that put over a character that changes up how the character looks and the voice acting of the character, of course. So playable characters coming in this DLC pack is going to be Quan Chi, Omni-Man, Ermac, Peacemaker, Takeda, and Homelander. So Omni-Man, of course, is from that Invincible series. Peacemaker is, of course, John Cena's character in Peacemaker, or the Suicide Squad. And then Homelander, of course, is from The Boys, which is going to be pretty cool, I think. Cameos, so characters who will be reskinned: Tremor, Johnny Cage, Chameleon, Mavado, and Farah. It's not exactly, it's still unclear, how the characters are how this is all gonna work. But we already know that Jean-Claude Van Damme is gonna be a cameo for Johnny Cage, so we can cross that one off the list. We know what that one's gonna be. Tremor, this was the Earthbender character from Mortal Kombat X, so maybe he's gonna be skinned over someone else who's on the roster. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the leaked list of the first Kombat pack. So we'll see if any of this is confirmed in the recent months or in the next few months. But yeah, I'm very excited for Mortal Kombat 1. Like I said, I love Mortal Kombat. So yeah, you can pre-order now if you want to. I believe everywhere. And I'm not going to be getting the $109 version of the game, but we'll see. Maybe I'll pick up the Kombat pack once I've played the game and see how it feels. Speaking of new games coming out, hopefully this year, Spider-Man 2. They have made no compromises for the PS5, and now they've officially announced that there will not be a PS4 version of the game. It's a full-blown PS5 exclusive. Just recently, God of War Ragnarok was released on the PS5, PS4, and PS5, but it seems like God of War Ragnarok might be the last cross-gen game that Sony produces, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, this one's being, Spider-Man 2 is being produced by Insomniac Games, and speaking with Famitsu, Jim Ryan, the bigwig at the studio, has said that they've made no compromises for Sony's current console. So they're gonna really get every inch of that system running optimally for Spider-Man 2. So he didn't share any specific new information about the sequel, but he did point out that he's hearing very positive feedback about dropping the PS4, which is kind of sad because obviously the PS4 is still it's a pretty good selling console. But it's also understandable that Sony wants to move on and make games that are better looking, better feeling, better whatever. So yeah. Also, it seems that we're guaranteed to get a glimpse of the game at next week's PlayStation Showcase, which was recently announced on the 24th of May. We're getting a PlayStation Showcase which apparently there's going to be a lot of stuff from across the world, things that are coming to PlayStation 5, and obviously I think that we are almost guaranteed to get some Spider-Man 2, not PlayStation 2, Spider-Man 2 gameplay, probably at the end. There's going to be some third-party games in there as well, so their quote is saying a bit of everything. There's also going to be some PSVR 2 games showed off from top studios around the world, several new creations from inside PlayStation Studios, and spellbinding games. So yeah, it should be a pretty interesting showcase. May 24th at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, 9 p.m. BST, etc., etc. So the 24th is Wednesday, my dudes. So maybe we'll do a live reaction for the showcase. Probably we'll do a live reaction for the showcase. Just got to remember that it starts at 4, so hopefully I'm home in time for that. Speaking of PlayStation Studios, the Days Gone developer can't wait to show you what's next for their studio because they're making a PS5 exclusive, so we're expecting possibly to see that as well, whatever they're working on at the next PlayStation Showcase. It's actually Bend Studios is celebrating its 30th anniversary. They started all the way back in the day with Bubsy 3D or Siphon Filter. Siphon Filter. One of their most infamous games is Bubsy 3D. But of course, their most recent game is Days Gone, which is, it's fine. I gave it a 7 out of 10. What do you want? But anyway, on Twitter, they said, this year we celebrate our 30th anniversary at Bend Studio. We were established in 1993, and our studio continues to evolve from our roots of passion and innovation. Thank you for your support for 30 years, from games like Siphon Filter to Days Gone. We can't wait to show you what's next. So yeah, I'm guessing they're going to get some spotlight at the PlayStation Showcase. Maybe it'll be like the last little teaser that they show off. I guarantee it's not Days Gone 2. If it's Days Gone 2, I will literally shit my pants. But not really, because that'd be disgusting. I'm guessing it's going to be something completely different, something completely new. Days Gone was unexpected, but kind of cool at times, with the motorcycle mechanics and stuff like that. But in general, it wasn't that great of a game, for me personally. But we'll see what they got to do. We'll see what they're cooking up. Let them cook. All right, moving on. Dead by Daylight showed off its roadmap for year 8, and with the celebration happening, they showed off a few things that are kind of interesting. We're getting at least 3 new killers this year throughout June through March of next year. And then also we're getting a couple new survivors as well to boot. One of those new survivors or killers, okay? One of those new survivors or killers is Nick Cage. Nicolas Cage is joining Dead by Daylight. So it's kind of an interesting proposition to make him a killer. Just kind of being his crazy self, Maybe he'll channel his vampire roots, like in that one movie. Or maybe he'll be a survivor. I think it's more likely that he'll be... It's more likely he'll be a killer, actually, in my opinion. But apparently he is going to be coming... Or maybe there's going to be more information on the 5th of June or July. Or maybe he's due to come out on the 5th of July. The wording is kind of weird on this. In the official press release, they said after countless awards and over 100 movies shot across the globe, Nicolas Cage has seen it all and done it all. Or so he thought. While on set for filming the role of a lifetime, his performance summoned the Entity, a malevolent being of incomprehensible power. The actor soon found himself cast in an overworldly fog, forced to survive a host of terrifying killers, deadlier than even the most scathing film critic. Okay, so maybe he is going to be a survivor. But I think it'd be more funny to have him as a killer. Also, the Until Dawn developers, Supermassive Games, are going to be making a single-player, story-driven game for Dead by Daylight, possibly using some of the original characters from the main game, like the redneck or whatever his name, the trapper. Obviously, everything's under wraps for right now, but Behavior Interactive announced this during the anniversary event live stream that happened last week. So yeah, I'm sure that they'll do a fine job with this. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Pictures anthology or The Quarry for that matter, but at least Until Dawn is still in their repertoire, and that was a great, good-ish game. So we'll see what they do with Dead by Daylight. Huh? It might be better than that dating simulator game that came out last year. All right, PS5, the PlayStation, the Sony, they've revealed the accessible controller. So they've detailed what's going to exactly look like, how it's going to look, how it's going to work, how things can be switched and changed for your gaming experience if you need an accessible controller. Adjustable joysticks, button placements that can be changed inside the configurations, changing everything. There's a video on PlayStation's YouTube channel right now, the PlayStation Accessibility Controller. It looks like they did a great job designing this thing. Now, of course, I don't need this controller, but it looks like it's going to be pretty nice. So this is going to include a wide array of swappable button and stick caps, so players can freely create different layouts that work for their unique strength, range of motion, and physical needs. Each package will offer 3 types of analog stick caps, button caps, and various shapes and sizes. There will be pillow flat, wide flat, and overhang and curve. Swappable button caps and the option to attach the pad to AMPS mounts and tripods. You can also lay it flat or orient it 360 degrees. Custom switches, buttons, and analog sticks can be attached through 4 3.5mm aux ports. So yeah, it looks pretty good. I want to see a review of this controller when it comes out. I do follow a few I'm not sure exactly how they call them. I do follow a few handicapped people who have disabilities and stuff like that. So we'll see what they think of it, because that's really what truly matters. Who cares about me talking about this? I want to hear someone who actually needs this controller to review it and talk about it. So until that point, I'm not going to say anything else, but it looks pretty good to me. All right. There was a game announced, I think, last year or a couple years ago called Arc Raiders. It was originally supposed to be a cooperative third-person shooter, but now it's going to be a player versus environment survival extraction shooter. So essentially, it's like The Division Dark Zones, or, a freaking battle royale. Producer Alexander Grondel explained that over the course of development, Arc Raiders has taken the shape of what we believe to be a truly promising player versus environment survival extraction shooter. A game that stays true to the Arc Raiders universe, and we're having a blast testing internally. So yeah, it sounds like this is going to kind of be like maybe DMZ mode in Call of Duty, or Hazard Zone in Battlefield, or something like Escape from Tarkov, or, like I mentioned before, the Dark Zone in Division. We'll have to wait and see, but as of right now, the game has completely changed its premise. For better or worse, I suppose we'll have to see. Overwatch 2 has completely axed the co-op mode that was promised with the sequel's launch. This was going to be like a players versus bots mode with different objectives and stuff like that, I believe. The executive producer, Jared Nuss, delivered the news in a recent stream, saying development on the PvE experience really hasn't made the progress we would have hoped. While a team has developed a bunch of amazing content, he explained that the effort required to pull all that together into a Blizzard quality experience that we can ship to you is huge, and there really is no end in sight. He elaborated saying, "We're left with another difficult choice. Do we continue to pour all of our effort into the PvE, hoping that we can land at some point in the near future, or do we stick with a set of values that we've aligned on the focus on the live game and servicing all of you?" That's a weird way to put that. So yeah, no PvE coming anymore, or at least their plans are scrapped for that for now. Does this mean that the single player mode will also be cut in the future? I mean, that still hasn't. I mean, that was supposed to launch with the update, remember? And that got pushed back. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I've stopped playing Overwatch 2 a while ago. I was having a little bit of fun with it, here and there, but kind of the same thing happened to Fall Guys, where it's like content updates was not coming fast enough for me personally. The games were becoming way too sweaty because we were moving up in the skills category, playing with better people, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't like super jazzed about it anymore, and I eventually uninstalled it from my computer when it was running slow recently. So yeah, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing that the PvE mode is scrapped, because I feel like that could have been a pretty cool mode, players versus like the little robot dudes, and they could have made the robot dudes or the AI controlled characters have their own movesets and stuff like that. But I understand the need to focus on what's selling the game, which is the player versus player. Well, selling, quote unquote, it's free to play, but you know what I'm saying. All right, Amazon is officially making a Lord of the Rings video game, an MMO. It recently was announced that the game is going to be a free-to-play title, aiming to release on PC and consoles in the future. It's fair to assume that the game is going to be on all major consoles, and it's probably going to be coming out next year or in the coming years, because I do feel like the game is in early stages of development. The press release doesn't say much other than that, unfortunately. Amazon Game Studios Vice President Christoph Hartman says they're gonna bring Middle-earth to life. Basically everything that each video game developer says about their video game. So yeah, it's hard to get excited about this because I'm not a huge MMO fan, and the last MMO I played was like DC Universe Online back in the day, and that was very short-lived for me, about a year of playing, and I haven't really played an MMO since. I tried the Elder Scrolls one, but I'm not a huge fan of MMO games in general. So I don't know if this is going to really speak to me. I guess we'll have to wait and see for a trailer. Right now, there's like 3 or so games in development for Lord of the Rings, including this MMO and Gollum. There's also that card game that's supposed to be coming out, or whatever it is. So we do have some Lord of the Rings content coming, but it's probably not going to match the glory days of the tie-in games like The Two Towers, Return of the King, Third Age, and Shadow of Mordor. All right, WrestleQuest has hit a bit of a delay. It's been delayed until summer instead of when they originally were going to release it, which I believe was going to be soon. So WrestleQuest, this is like the RPG turn-based wrestling game that they showed it off at PAX, and I've heard a few good things about it. But yeah, it's gonna be coming out in summer instead of May now. The reason for the delay is actually kind of intriguing. The need for bugs and stuff and pixels to be shined, of course, is apparent, but there's also they secured a new partnership with that they are extremely excited about. So this is, of course, led to the delays. So I'm wondering if they got like a actual WWE star like John Cena or something like that to join the roster or join the game, and it was so late in development that they had to rework some stuff in there. I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, they already have Andre the Giant and a couple of other noticeable additions to the game, so very interesting. I'm guessing it's John Cena since he's so popular, But yeah, so we'll have to wait a few more months for WrestleQuest to hit the shelves. Pac-Man 99 is officially shutting down in October. The game will be completely offline and delisted on the 8th of October 2023. Now, this is one of those games that had I believe a lot of like microtransactions. You could buy different skins for the game. You could do a bunch of stuff. I think that this is kind of an L for for Bandai Namco at least. So yeah, on October 8th, the game is going to be shut down. The online service for Nintendo Switch Online subscriber-only software Pac-Man 99 will end on Sunday, October 8th. You can continue to enjoy the offline mode of paid additional content even after the online service ends. So I guess it's not being completely delisted, but the online mode, which is the main draw for the game of Pac-Man 99, fighting against 99 other people, is going to be shut down. So on August 8th, they're going to discontinue custom themes. On September 8th, they're going to discontinue the deluxe pack and mode in the Pac-Man 99 mode unlock. And of course, on October 8th, they will discontinue the online services for the main game and distribution of the main game and free custom themes. So it is being delisted, but if you bought content in it, you can still, I believe, re-download that stuff from the store if you own it. But if you don't own it, then it'll be gone forever. So, Pac-Man 99 came around in 2021. It was pretty fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Obviously, it doesn't beat Tetris 99. And of course, the Mario one already has been discontinued. So, that's old news. But, kind of sad to see it go. And if you're one of the people who bought content for the game, hopefully you'll still have fun with it offline. All right, the art director behind God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok has left Sony after about a decade of work. Sony played an integral part of shaping his career, he says. In an interview, he said, "Sony has been my second home, and I'm immensely grateful to be involved so deeply with God of War. The skills I've learned and deep connections I've formed with incredible people have stayed with me forever." He also went on to share thanks to select colleagues, including Santa Monica Studios boss Yumi Yang and God of War director Corey Barlog and Eric Williams. Also, PlayStation Studio bigwig Scott Rode. He continued to say that Sony has played an integral role in shaping his career, and he will forever hold dear the memories and experiences. He's also extremely confident in the studio's continued success, and he hopes to create together again in the future. He will share more news on what's next for him in the coming weeks. I mean, if it wasn't for him, God of War maybe wouldn't have been as successful as a reboot reboot, quote unquote. Maybe would not have been as successful as it was. Being an art director is very important for the beginning stages of a video game's development, mapping out what the characters are going to look like, what the environments are going to look like, and enemies, and the design of all the little details in the world. So he did a lot of impressively great work. He did a lot of impressive work. It was all great. And he's one of the reasons why God of War 2018 is still one of my favorite games ever. And of course, why God of War Ragnarok is one of the best games from last year. So sad to see him go, but we'll see what he has in the future, what he has in store in the future. Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope has won an award for Best Original Video Game Score at the Ivors. I'm not sure what the Ivors are, but Grant Kirkhope is actually one of the people who worked on the original score, and he actually won an award. So he got an award. That's really the reason why I'm talking about this, is because Grant Kirkhope won the award along with his co-writers Gareth Coker and Yoko Shimomura. But he was the one who accepted the award, and it was great. There you go. Sparks of Hope. That released back in 2022, so it's crazy that he's just getting an award for it now, but hey, better late than never, eh? And finally in the news today, Doug Bowser made a bit of an oopsie when talking about the launch of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. In a tweet, he said, "Thank you. I hope you are all enjoying your imagination-fueled adventures through Highland." Obviously, he meant to type Hyrule. I'm guessing spell check got the better of him. Doug Bowser, he doesn't pay for Twitter Blue. Big W for him. But that also means he can't edit his tweets in the first, hour of being out. So he of course tweeted. He tweeted again saying, "Hey, I fucked up," But I hope he's not too embarrassed about that. But I mean, he is the CEO of Nintendo of America, so it is a pretty big blunder, all things considered, to misspell Hyrule or mistype about the area that they're Hyrule. I don't know. It's a bit of an L there, but it's a W because he's not Twitter blue. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final part of the podcast, which is what's coming soon. All right, The Expanse, a Telltale series, it's going to be episodic. I think I forgot about that. It is going to be episodic, but it's going to start on July 27th. There will be 5 episodes released every 2 weeks after the initial release date of the 27th of July. This will be available pretty much across all platforms. So the series will be complete by the 24th of August. If you want to pre-order the game, they go live on June 1st for the standard version and the deluxe edition, which offers 24-hour early access. And the deluxe edition will also offer bonus DLC, which will be revealed at a later date. So this is the first episodic Telltale adventure that has come out since, like, I forget what the last one was. Was it Minecraft Season 2 or something? Or whatever it was. So it's been quite a while, so we'll see how the studio has really transformed. And Walking Dead Season 4. That was the final one, I believe. So we'll see how the studio has transformed and done different things. As you may or may not know, this is based off of a TV show. So if you're a fan of The Expanse, maybe you want to pick this up. But the game is about Sarah Gee, who returns to reprise her role as Kamina Drummer, who must deal with a mix of powerful personalities, square off against a bloody mutiny, explore locations beyond the belt, and most of all, make tough decisions that will decide the fate of the Artemis crew. The game will be available for about $40 for the base game. And on the official Telltale Games website, they said, "Thank you. We wouldn't be here without you. We wouldn't be able to keep telling these amazing stories without your support. As a new studio rebuilding, your faith and giving us a chance to make more games means the world to us." So, should be interesting to see how this game shapes up. I'm actually very interested because early Telltale was really good. You think of The Walking Dead Season 1, The Wolf Among Us, and then it just they bit off more than they could chew, and they just it just kind of fell apart. So hopefully with this new studio, new directors and stuff like that, hopefully they'll make a great game or a good game. I'll settle for a good game. Layers of Fear is coming out on the 15th of June. There's not really much else to say. The game is it has been made in Unreal Engine 5, powered by Horror Opus Repaints. What does that even mean? Anyway, there will be some post-release DLC with new story content that'll make for a complete and uninterrupted narrative. With the power of Unreal Engine 5, we've been able to create a game that visually surpasses our previous works, delivering an unforgettable journey into the mind of tormented artists, explains the CEO in a press release. They're excited for both new and returning players to jump in. There is a demo available now on Steam, which will be active through the 22nd of May, so if you're listening to this right now, it's probably already gone. There's no plans to release the demo on the PS5 right now, but the game will be releasing across consoles on the 15th of June. Lords of the Fallen put out a gameplay reveal trailer. Half of it was cinematics, so if you want to skip to about the minute 50 point of the trailer, or maybe more like a minute 30 point of the trailer, that's when they actually start to show gameplay. And I gotta say, it really does remind me of that Mortal Shell game in terms of visual style, but it does look a bit better. And I will say that, like, the character designs and the environments you go through, pretty crazy. I mean, it looks really good. I mean, the lighting effects and stuff like that, of course, they showed off, like, the demo for that during the Unreal Engine showcase or whatever that was. But, I mean, damn, I think this is going to be one of the best-looking games of the next generation here. And it looks like it's gonna be pretty fun to play too. Looks like you got plenty of different abilities and magics to use and weapons to mess around with. Lots of different enemy variety in there that you can kind of see. It's going to be very interesting when we finally get to pick this up and play it. I think it looks great. I really do. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of gameplay or a lot of the game, but just judging from what I know from the Lords of the Fallen, this looks like a major step in the right direction in terms of both visuals, gameplay, and aesthetic. Like I feel like this is a really good step in the right direction. So you can pre-order it now. It's coming out October 13th. So be prepared for that. Looks like it's going to be a really fun Souls-like game. SpongeBob is coming to Power Wash Simulator with a Bikini Bottom themed level or levels. Essentially, they just released a teaser showing, the Conch Street, SpongeBob, Squidward, and Patrick's houses all covered in various muck and debris. And they also reskinned the Power Washer to be more nautical themed and SpongeBob themed. I'm guessing you're also going to go to different places. Oh yeah, here it is. So you're going to be going to you're going to be able to clean a Bikini Bottom bus, the Krusty Krab, the Paddy Wagon, the Invisible Boatmobile, and the Mermalair, as well as Conch Street. So that's pretty cool. This will be about $8 if you want to check that out. It's DLC for Power Wash Simulator. Looks like it's going to be worth the price. Looks like it's a very nice DLC that they're launching. Of course, it's just a teaser that's been shown off, but I'm sold. I'm sold. I'll power wash SpongeBob's house, but I won't power wash Mermaid Man's underwear. Nintendo has expanded their online service, their GBA library, with three Super Mario games that were made for the GBA. One of them is Super Mario Advance, which features Super Mario Bros. 2 and the classic arcade Mario Bros. As well. Super Mario World, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2, and also Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3. So the Super Mario Advance series is now in full on the service on the 26th of May. So yeah, should be pretty good, pretty good get for people who are fans of the Mario platformers, 2D side scrollers. I've never played any of these games myself, so maybe I'll try them out on the service when they release on the 26th. All right, here's the list of games coming to Xbox Game Pass for the rest of May here, just as a refresher. On May 18th, Eastern Exorcist and Ghost Lore are going to be available. On the 23rd, Planet of Lana is coming out. May 25th, Cassette Beasts, Massive Chalice, and Railway Empire 2. And then on May 30th, Chicory, A Colorful Tale will be coming to the service as well. So there you go. Here are some games that are going to leave Xbox Game Pass by the 31st, though. We have Europa Universalis 4, Evil Genius 2, World Domination, FIFA 21, Floppy Nights, and Lawn Mowing Simulator. Those are all going to leave Game Pass on the 31st of May. And then here are 17 games that are marked as leaving PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium soon. So Descenders, Party Hard, 9 Monkeys of Shaolin, Ash of Gods, Redemption, Fire Pro Wrestling World, Black Mirror, Witchwood, John Wick Hex, Kiwi, No Straight Roads, Defense Grid 2, Joe Deaver's Lone Wolf, Agents of Mayhem, Gods Will Fall, Red Faction 1 and 2, and Redeemer Enhanced Edition. If you want to play any of those games, make sure you do that before those are off the service. They're expected to leave on the 20th of June, so you have a bit of time. All right, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Fair 64 Podcast. Do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and roll the song of the week. If you guessed the song correctly, you earn yourself a super reaction. Congratulations to Greedy Waffles, who got last week's song, which was the main theme for Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Let's see what today's is going to be. Let's play it right now. All right, guessed that correctly, and you win. That's right. If you want to check me out on Twitch, I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Right now, we're playing Tales from the Borderlands and a PS2 game called the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Legend of Jack Sparrow. It's kind of like a God of War clone. It's been kind of interesting. We played a little bit of it on Saturday, so it's been kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes. Also, if you want to check out the other podcast I do, Film Freaks with a Z at the end, we talk about movies. There's 4 of us all together. The latest episode is about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That just released this past weekend. And the next episode is going to be about Inglourious Bastards. If you want to check that out, that'll be out in 2 weeks. So I appreciate anyone who listened to this episode of Fair 64, though. If you want to leave a like, a comment, maybe a rating on Spotify or a review on Apple Podcasts, I'd really appreciate that. It does help the podcast out. And if you want to check out anything else I do, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, etc. I'm not really on Instagram or stuff like that, but I have been uploading some shorts to my VODs channel, my Yemmy the Ferret VODs channel, which is my second channel. If you want to check that out, you can revisit streams and watch shorts from my streaming career. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here, and I'll talk at you next week. Bye-bye. The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.